Keynote speaker. Andrew participated at 5 World Championships, having won several gold medals, and represented Canada at 4 Paralympics, having won 5 medals, including a gold medal in Sydney 2000. He broke multiple world records, and despite having retired from swimming over a decade ago, he still holds several Canadian records. His accomplishments led him to be inducted into the Canadian Swimming Hall of Fame and both the Cape Breton and Nova Scotia Sports Halls of Fame. Just recently, this year, he was a mentor on the TV show Mind, Set, and Go, and participated on the TV shows The Social and Global Morning News. We will learn together how Andrew managed to overcome his obstacles, handle pressure, and set his mind to achieve personal excellence. His skills are truly valuable in the business world, and his presentation will prove that there is a champion inside of us. We just need to let it out. Ladies and gentlemen, Andrew Haley.
Good job, thanks. Thank you. They should, they haven't come up with some really cool walk-up swimming music yet, so I'm taking Rocky IV. It's been wonderful listening to everything so far, and I wanted to share a story of something that happened this morning before I came up on stage. I'd like to talk to my wife, just a kind of a friendly voice, and obviously it's early in the morning and she's getting our daughter ready for school. And I said, so we're talking, and I'm expecting to hear at the end of the conversation, "Good luck, you're gonna be great, go get them." And instead she says to me, half tired, "Break a leg." I still don't know what to make of it. And I got off the call and I said to myself, is this still good luck to say break a leg for somebody who's already lost a leg? I wasn't really that sure. I am sure, though, that when we wake up in the morning, we have the power of greatness inside of us. I'm also sure that when we wake up in the morning, we have the power to set our own path and follow our own destiny. But the question is, how do we get there? Well, I'm going to work backwards. I'm going to tell you that my goal, I'm going to talk for about 90 minutes, not completely talking, we'll work together, is that by the time everybody in this room leaves here, you know deep inside your heart, based on everything that's going on today, that not only do you have the power of greatness inside of you, but you can do whatever you want in life. I am reminded about this every single day. And do you ever notice that people who decide to do things, we sometimes procrastinate. You want to do it, so you might say, I'm going to go work out. It's Friday today, right? I'm going to go work out on Monday. And then Monday comes, and Monday goes, and for whatever reason you decide that Monday's not a good day, I'm going to do it some other day. And it may never happen. You want to go on a diet, and that comes, and that goes, and you may never do it. The idea is to make sure that when you make a decision, you get on it, because there's opportunities in life that perhaps are passing us by. This is one of the things that I believe. So you obviously have decisions to make in life. Good decisions, bad decisions. And these decisions help shape who we are and what we do in the future. For instance, the decision that everybody made to come here this morning to spend time with me for the next little bit was a really good decision. So, let's go to this one. Let me just walk down here just a little bit. Today is a good day to have a great day. You're spending here time today, everybody's all together. It is a great day. So how do you get your goals? How do you achieve your dreams? You do it with mindset. That's why I titled my presentation Mindset. And you do it with courage. And I'm reminded by courage every single morning. I've got 2 kids. My son Christopher is 2. My daughter, Kristen, is 8. When Christopher turned 2, he took his sister's scooter, which was 2 wheels and pink. And he couldn't maneuver it very well because it had 2 wheels. So he made a decision that we would get Christopher his own scooter. And now he's got this blue scooter with 2 wheels in the back, 1 wheel in the front. We go across the street. We live downtown in Queens Quay. And we go, and then there's this little decline. And he gets on this scooter. If you have kids, you know what I'm talking about. Like, whee! And then down this ramp he goes. He doesn't care if he falls. He just knows the fun. And then he turned this scooter around, and he get back on the scooter and go, whee! And down the scooter he goes. Sometimes he falls. Doesn't care, gets back up, maybe cries a little bit, and keeps going. My daughter, on the other hand, Kristen, who is 8, looks at this same decline for speed, and what does she do? She doesn't do it. Because she feels the fear. She knows the fear. She's experienced it, and she doesn't want to do it. She doesn't want to take the chance. So I think sometimes as adults, we need to look at kids for direction. Be a little less fearful. Take those decisions. Make it happen for yourself. Put yourself out there. Because everything you want to accomplish in life that's worth working for is going to have obstacles. It's going to have pressure. It's going to have things that are going to make you think. So therefore, you should go after it. Who in here has ever lived in, been to, or experienced some sort of Calgary winter? All right, so I lived in Calgary for 4 years. And in the wintertime, usually January, February, I had 2 choices to make when the alarm went off at 5:30 for a 6:30 workout. The first choice I had to make was to stay in bed and not go. Minus 30 outside, freezing like you can't imagine. I'm just going to stay in bed all day and go to work out in the afternoon when it's a little bit warmer. Or I could decide that I want to get up and I want to go to the pool and put the work in. Well, this presentation today, everybody, we're going for gold, so you know that I'm going to go to the pool. Even though I didn't want to do it, I went through the motions. The motions of getting up, I don't want to do this, do it anyways. And I went to the pool. And every time I went to the pool and got through workout, I got a little more momentum, a little more pride, and a lot more confidence that what I was doing mattered and I was closer to my goal because of it. Not only that, if I had a competitor somewhere around the world, if I didn't go to the workout, if I didn't get to that pool, if I didn't put the effort in, I knew that he was doing that and he was going to get ahead of me. You see, the idea is to be better today than you are yesterday, be better tomorrow than you are today. That's actually on your website, the 50-second mark of the video when you go onto the Agilec website. And there's somebody saying almost exactly the same thing. And when we talk about performance and excellence, that is not a now and then thing. You don't turn on performance when you want to. You don't turn on excellence when you want to. It's not a now and then thing. It's an everyday thing. Doing it right all the time. And if you can do it right all the time, and you can impress and improve both physically and mentally, well, then that's worth fighting for. Where are we at here? Okay. All right, so now we're going to get a little bit moving, and I'm going to give you some homework. But before that, I want to go over my own little housekeeping. The first thing is, if you have cell phones, I know a lot of you do, I'm going to have this little bit of contest where if you go to, if you want to take some photos during the day of my slides or me or whatever, and you post it onto the Twitter, and you put the hashtags in and my handle, AHaleyCA, I'm going to pick one, and then I'm going to give you a gift card of some sort. The other thing I want to mention is on my website, I have extra details of some things that I'm not going to talk about, but I think are important. And so if you want to go to the Contact Andrew site, it's andrewhaley.ca. And the third thing is any slide, any information, anything that I've said this morning, you don't have to copy anything down. Maybe copy down that you liked a certain slide or a certain thought or something like that. Feel free to contact me. I'd be more than willing to share my presentation with you, my thought process with you, anything like that. If it helps you, feel free. it's for you. So I'm going to give you about 5 minutes now, maybe talking like 2 or 3s. And the question I want to ask is, explain your views on achieving excellence. We're talking about go for gold. So go for gold and excellence kind of go together. And then what does winning mean to you? And so I'll give you about 5 minutes on that. And then I'm going to come back, kind of walk around. So think about that, get the juices flowing. And then I'll come back and share some of my thoughts. So on you go, 5 minutes. Right track. Keep it going. Okay. How we doing so far? Are we thinking? Are we good? Did we learn some things? Get some ideas? So I'm going to share a couple stories on exactly what this means to me. When I first started swimming, training competitively back in 1989, there was a pool called the Coast Guard College. And this Coast Guard College was located halfway between Sydney and North Sydney in Cape Breton Island, where I was growing up. And one particular morning, my coach, Ian McCackern, decided it'd be a great idea to give me this set of 10 times 100 meter butterfly. Any master swimmers in here? Anybody like swimming? Do you like butterfly? No. It's funny when you ask people that question, like, would you like a root canal? Yes. Butterfly? No. And so I was swimming this set, and I was a freestyler. So this is not going to work. So there I am doing the butterfly, and I'm just like dying after the first one, touch, keep going, second, third, fourth, fifth, until finally I finished this, which was at that point the hardest set I've ever done in my life. So I went over to Ian, and I'm like exhausted, sitting down, going, why? Like, why did you give me that? And he said, because it's training. You need to know that you can do the tough stuff. Yeah, we might do some easy freestyle. But if you're going to really excel in life, and there's a mountain in front of you, you got to go through it, not around it. And when I give you other sets that might be demanding, you're going to be able to approach those with confidence because you did something that you didn't think you could do. And to me, that's winning. I got in there, and I gave the best effort I possibly could give in this set. And at the end of it, I finished. There's no gold medals to be hung out when I finished. There was no money that he gave me. There was really no pat on the back. There was just me and the satisfaction that I had of giving my best effort in a set that I didn't want to do. Not too long after that, Ian and I went to this competition, also Nova Scotia. And my goal going in was to beat somebody. Here's this kid with one leg trying to swim against the rest of the province. And I somehow thought to myself, I think I can beat somebody. And my best time for the 100 freestyle was 1 minute and 20 seconds. I went 1 minute and 18 seconds. And I went back to Ian, and I'm like, I didn't beat anybody. I was last. He goes, no, you weren't. I'm like, are you blind? I was last. Did you see the results? I was last. He goes, what was your best time before this race? And I said, 1 minute and 20 seconds. And he said, how fast did you go? I go, 1 minute and 18 seconds. He said, Andrew, I had you down for a 1:19. You just set a personal world record. I'm like, he called it a world record when it was the best time, but he liked to embellish a little bit. And I'm like, wow, you were right. I did set a best time. And in sport and in life, we only can control what we can actually control. I can't control how fast anybody else is going to go, but I can control how fast I was going. So for me, the narrative changed. It changed from comparing myself to others to being happy with my performance because it was my personal best time. And the effort that I put in, that's the excellence part. And the result that I got, that's the winning. Because you keep doing this, you get the next race, and it's 1:16, and it's 1:14, and it's 1:09, and whatever. That is what gives me the power to go on, because now I'm comparing myself to others. All right. So, we're going to play a little game. Who wants to play a little game? It's going to take a little bit of thinking. And I'm happy if somebody wants to come up personally and tell me what they're thinking. But look at these individuals. An Olympic swimmer. So we need something to compare against. So let's go Super Bowl MVP. So you look at those and go, okay, what do they have in common? Well, they're both athletes, high-performance athletes. So that's good. Now what? emergency physician, ER docs. So I was like, okay, well, it's a little bit odd now because what does two athletes and an emergency physician have in common? And then we go elite musician, and it's a little bit stranger. And then we got a fighter pilot. So I'm going to give you 30 quick seconds to shout out ideas, what you think these people have in common. And then I'm going to come back and I'm going to show you the sixth one that I'm hiding right now. And I want to see if your opinion changes amongst the first five. All right? 30 seconds. Go. Huh? Training? It could be training, but that's not where I'm kind of going with it. Huh? Okay, we good? Are we good? All right, quickly, good. Okay, so I'm going to put the I'm going to put the next one up here, and I believe this. You need to believe this because this is true. It's true because when I'm working anywhere I've worked, I always thought of myself, and the words I'm looking for are high performance. When I worked for the Toronto Blue Jays for 15 years, about 14, it was about me and what I was doing, high performance. You want to do the best for your clients. You know, you have excellence all through it. I've read your website. It's all about that. And the excellence that's for you, how's that any different than for somebody like me going in the pool, or Michael Phelps, or a race car driver, or an emergency physician, or a fighter pilot? It's not any different, because you have it inside of you in order to do these great things. And the characteristics that set these people aside, it's how they prepare, how they execute, how they reflect, and how they learn or evolve that set them aside from those people that are not as successful. And when you look at these individuals, the first characteristic that you come out and see is that how they like to learn, they like to grow, they like to evolve. So if your goal every day is, I want to be a better person, I want to grow, I want to learn, read, ask questions, you're on the right track. The second characteristic is that they love to compete. They love to, the pressure's there, but they prepare with the skill and the truth to be the best when they need to be the best. And the third thing is a little interesting. The third thing is this idea upon leadership. And leadership doesn't necessarily mean you have a title of some sort. Leadership is every one of us in this room who can be leaders in our own right. No matter what we're doing in life, people are going to follow you. You're leaders at home with your kids. You're leaders with something you're volunteering in. You're leaders at work for a project. You're exuding influence on others to be better, a positive mindset. As I said, it's a good day to have a great day. The idea of putting together the thought process of collective excellence leads you to high performance. But you have to have this idea about excellence, or is what I call personal excellence, in order to get there. Okay. So, this is dark for a reason. And I'm going to bring you back to a time, a glass of water. I'm going to bring you back to a time that was a little bit of a challenge for me. Back in October of 1980, quite far back, I was downstairs in our home in North Sydney playing with my twin brother, Brett. We were 6 years old. We were jumping from chair to chair. It was great watching television. Until one moment, we were playing, and I fell. And it hurt. And my parents were upstairs entertaining. They came downstairs and saw me in obvious pain. Dad picked me up, put me into the car, and drove me to the Northside Hospital, where they did some tests. And my parents, they're thinking, it's probably just a broken leg, we're going to get through this. Well, they decided that it just wasn't a broken leg. It was a little more serious than that. So the decision was made to put me in an ambulance and drive me to Halifax, 4 hours away, to the Isaac Walton Killam Hospital for further diagnosis and tests. The diagnosis came back, and I had osteogenic sarcoma, same cancer as Terry Fox had, and it was spreading, and it was aggressive. So the doctors decided that to save my life, they had to amputate my leg above the knee. And they gave myself and my family a 30 to 35% survival rate. Not that great. My mom and dad came in the room, and I looked at them, and I said, "How am I?" And they looked at me, and they said, "You're good. You got this. You're going to be all right." Now, I don't think they believed, I think they thought that I was going to be all right, but obviously they were lying to me in a good way. They're lying to me because they wanted to make sure that everything around me was positive. They wanted to shield me from the fear, the uncertainty, the doubt. The idea is they're going to be a tomorrow. My mom stopped teaching. She came to Halifax full-time pretty much with me. I'm going through chemo. I'm going through radiation, countless doctor's visits, trying to figure out how to get this right. It was on my birthday, January 16th, 1982, and I had one chemo treatment left. And I'm like, yes, I'm almost done. I can go home. And the doctors came in the room, pulled my parents aside, and said, "Mr. and Mrs. Haley, the cancer is now in Andrew's lung. Another 30 to 35% chance to beat it. And I had to go into surgery to get part of my lung removed." So Mom and Dad came back over to me again and said, the whole question, how am I? You're going to get it. You're going to be okay. We went through it once. We're going to go through it again. No problem. I told you it was going to be great the first time. It is. We're going to be good the second time. And they shielded me from it. And finally, I was at the point where I was able to go home. I was able to go home and try to live my life. But there's two things that I look back at during that time. The first thing is, and I don't know why I kind of held on to these things, but is that the first time I had cancer, my hair fell out, as it does. And then it grew back curly. I hated it. My son has a little curly hair, and I'm like, he looks good, but I thought I looked horrible. I'm 6, 7 years old, self-conscious, and I hated it. And then when I had lung cancer, my hair fell out again, and it grew back nice like it is now. So I was like, phew, at least if I'm going to have cancer, there's got to be something good coming out of it. And then the second thing, it still holds true this day. My brother Brett had cancer. No, none time. He's good. Well, he's good, so he says, but he's good. I had cancer twice. So there's Brett. And this is what he looks like now. So what needs to be said, really? You know where I'm going with this, right? I mean, it's no wonder it held on to me. It's like I have not shown this to my brother. So I told my mom and dad. I didn't tell Brett. Don't tell him. All right. So then I get to go home. And this is my house in North Sydney that I get to go back to. And I feel very lucky to be able to have beat cancer twice. But as a parent now of 2 kids and looking back at my parents, I feel even luckier that I'm not my mom and my dad, who had to go through the trials and the tribulations of having a child. My daughter, when she was 1, broke her foot. I thought I was going to lose it, from my history and what could happen. And kids passing away, how hard that is. Overnight, not knowing the people you're going to talk to, their son or daughter are going to make it. And they did, and a lot of them didn't. So that the courage and the strength that it took for my parents and all parents in that situation dealing with stuff like that, it's just remarkable. So we got back home to North Sydney, and I'm on this prosthetic leg, and I'm walking back and forth to school, and I'm trying to do things, trying to fit in, but I felt really different. I felt like I didn't belong. I felt inferior to everybody. I'm picked last for floor hockey, last for basketball, last for baseball, last for fill in the blank, everything. My mom and dad took us to Florida to try to cheer me up. I wore sweatpants the whole time. I didn't want somebody to see me in my artificial leg because I felt self-conscious of those around me. That's changed. So let me take a look. I'm going to show you. I'm going to get over here so you can see. I'm actually going to get back on stage and I'm going to show you. This is what I say when I go to schools and I talk to the school kids and I say, you want to see my artificial leg? And they're like, yeah, cool. And the grade like P1s and 2s they have no idea. You know, they come up with all kinds of crazy things. So I say, listen, watch this. Okay, I say, okay, here we go. And I go, look, there it is. Look how real it looks. And they're like, yeah, wow, how real that looks. And I'm like, well, that's because that is real. But what about this one? How real is that? And they're like, wow, that's cool. And I say to the kids, listen, don't get a tattoo. I got a tattoo, and it really hurt. You gotta have fun with it, you know, just one of those things. So, where do we go from there? Things slowly started to get better for me until I found swimming. You know, I hope everybody in this room finds something that they really, really love in life. Because for me, it was the pool. And when I went to the Kiwanis pool in Sydney for the first time, I felt different. I felt good. I felt like I didn't care if somebody saw me with my leg off. I didn't care because I just love swimming so much. I got a phone call from the national para swim coach who says to me, Andrew, would you like to become a competitive swimmer? And I'm like, yeah, maybe. That sounds like a good idea. So off I went, shorts down to here, goggles that leaked, and I went all the time in this pool, back and forth, back and forth. They say to me, if you progress enough, you get to go to national championships in Richmond, British Columbia. So there's a kid from Cape Breton on this side of the country getting to go to Richmond, which is I've never been anywhere like west of like Moncton, to this, okay, maybe Ottawa, this side of the country. So off I went to national championships. And I won 3 bronze medals. I'm like, I am third best in Canada. I went through you know what with my cancer. I overcame obstacles. I started swimming. And within like 3 or 4 months, I'm the third best para swimmer in my class in all of Canada. That's winning. But I have a secret for you. Who wants a secret? I'm gonna get down off the stage because this is too top secret. I'm going to put on my best FBI top secret service look. There was 3 people in the race. Please don't tweet that. Totally true. But I was excited. I was third, won 3 bronze medals. Back home I go to try to be better, to try to see what the next challenge in my swimming career was going to take me. And it took me to World Championships, as I had since qualified. I mean, how can they not take me? I'm like third best in Canada. So off to Worlds I go, and I swam 3 races. Worlds was not important for the results. I was 10th in a race. I was 16th in a race. And somehow I got my team disqualified in the relay. Talk about a good introduction. Probably, I think it was for an illegal dive. I got a little bit excited. So I felt embarrassed for getting my team disqualified, but you have to grow and learn from those opportunities. On the plane ride on the way home, thinking about the race, thinking about what happened, this voice came inside my head and said, Andrew, one day you will be a world champion. And I'm like, who said that? For real. But I embraced it. This small kid from Cape Breton Island who, they don't dream big there very much. They've meant small town mentality to a certain degree. But we need to dream big. We need to have goals. We need to have this idea that we are going for gold. And if you may fall short of wherever you are, that's okay, because you tried. You gave yourself out there. You set an example. So I went home, and I saw people at Worlds, no arms, no legs, paraplegics, quadriplegics, deaf, blind, like they're all there. And I'm thinking, there I was, feeling sorry for myself because I have one leg. And there's so many more people out there in a far situation than I was. It was a real eye-opener for me. And that's why I had the idea, or my inner self had the idea, to be world champion one day. The Paralympic Games are the elite competition for athletes with a physical disability. And over the course of the last number of years, this competition has got a lot more notoriety, media coverage. I want to talk about a lot of things this morning. But my story about the Paralympics in '92, probably because of something I'm going to say, will top my list. When I got to Barcelona, the first race in the program was the 400-meter freestyle. I am ranked 10th in the world because of World Championships. But because of my placing, I was able to swim right next to the world record holder. The world record holder his best time, world record, 4 minutes and 43 seconds. Okay? In heats, he went 4:46. My best time, four minutes and 58 seconds. That's a big difference, 4:43 to 4:58. I went that morning swimming right next to him. 4 minutes and 46 seconds. And I qualified second going into finals. When I got to, I was shocked too. When I got to the ready room, or we call it the hot box, where you go in, and you wouldn't see this watching the Olympics, but there's 8 athletes. And it was really kind of like the Rocky IV, East versus West, man against man, all that stuff. And I'm sitting there with Iceland, Norway, Germany, the Americans, Russians. It was crazy. And there I am, this Canadian who probably everybody's thinking, what is he actually even doing here? So I had a really good seat, and we get marshaled out to the blocks. And I sit down, and I go through my race routine. I'm listening to Rocky IV. I always listen to Rocky IV. It's part of dealing with pressure for me to try to get rid of everything else that's around me and just focus, have the routine. And I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. So I get behind these blocks, and I'm ready to go. And we get ready for this race. And I look at my lane. And I look at lane 5. And lane 5 is the same lane that Mark Tewksbury, if you remember Mark Tewksbury, won a gold medal for Canada at the Olympics 3 weeks earlier. Or as we call them as Paralympic athletes, the test event for the Paralympics. Yeah. And I got in we started to get ready for the race. Now, before I get into the race, everybody was talking about Iceland, Norway, and Germany. They're going to win the medals. Everybody else is going to be 4th to 8th. So after the gun went off, 100-meter mark, Iceland, Norway, Germany, I'm fourth. 200-meter mark, Iceland, Norway, Germany, I'm fourth. The 300-meter mark, Iceland, Norway, and Germany, and I'm fourth. And at the 300-meter mark, that voice came back and said to me, go now. They'll never expect it if you go now. Because that's 100 meters left, and I'm dying. You know, I'm hurting. And then the negative little devil voice on the side of things goes, if you go now and you die, you might finish 8th. And is it really worth it? You're 4th, that's good. You were 10th, that's 4th, good. And here's what I want you to know. This is what I said to myself at the 300-meter mark, without even knowing it, was this. Allow yourself to be great. And how many times in our lives have we gotten to a situation where we just needed that little bit of boost to get you to the next level, to be great, to take a chance, to get out there? There was no second guessing at this moment. This was affirmation that I am going to try to accomplish something amazing, and if I don't get there, well, I'm going to die trying. And that's winning. Because even if I didn't win a medal, I gave my effort. I gave everything I had. And at the end result, what happened was Iceland, 441. Norway, 442. First, second, fourth. Germany, who cares? And I went 443, 49. I was so happy. Like, I'm almost crying now thinking about how happy I was when I won this medal. Because of the effort, because of the determination, because it was so unexpected to start my career, to win a bronze medal in this format, to take a chance at the 300-meter mark. When sometimes we try to shy away from chances. You know, it's the fear of success, honestly, instead of the fear of failure that we go through. And it's okay to fail. So that was a pretty cool moment. I decided to talk about Victoria in '94 because I know that, you know, all of you deal with some varying degrees of somebody with a disability. Obviously, that's one of your foundations. So you would be shocked to hear that the Australian chef de mission back at that time, because this is the first time for athletes with a physical disability to be competing in the exact same competition as able-bodied athletes. And this chef de mission said, disabled athletes have no place being at the same competition as able-bodied athletes. Wow, that's kind of a slap in the face. We're given everything we have. You know, we're swimming for our own medals. And, you know, my mom always taught me, if you don't have something nice to say, don't say it. But he decided that was a good idea to say it. So I also wanted you to see me in action, not just standing here, talking with you about what I've done in a suit. I'm going to show you a race. So this is the 100-meter freestyle at the Commonwealth Games. I'm not going to show you if I lose. So you'll see that it was a pretty good race, but let's take a look.
Lane 5, Andrew Haley from Dartmouth, Nova Scotia. He is ranked number 1 in the Commonwealth. He qualified second this morning with a time of 1:04.64, but his major goal is to get the world record. It's the men's 100-meter freestyle for swimmers with a physical disability. Keep your eye on lane 4 and 5. Brandon Burkett, the Australian, in 4. Andrew Haley of Canada in 5.
And the thing that we saw in the qualifying preliminaries was Burkett the Australian, the bronze medalist in Seoul and Barcelona Paralympics, went very slow on the first half and had a tremendous second 50. So if he's doing the same race pattern, Andrew Haley is going to have to pick it up after this turn.
As they hit the wall, it is Andrew Haley of Canada first. Back up the pool. His time 30:28. Byron, how does that look for a potential world record?
They're fairly close to be able to challenge for it. Burkett was a little bit slower than that this morning, so he's going harder now. Hopefully it will take a little bit out of him in the finals, and Mr. Haley will be able to stay right with him. And the Australian looks like he is tired, and Haley's starting to look a little bit stronger.
Andrew Haley of Canada has the lead, but Burkett of Australia is still in there. It is going to be Andrew Haley. Gold for Canada! Tremendous swim by Andrew Haley. He didn't get the world record, but he got the gold medal. 1:03.07 for Andrew Haley.
Well, we're talking about gold for gold this morning, so there you have it. So you notice after I finished, I went, That was 2 years before contact lenses. So I thought I was going to have to get the world record. I was just short of it. And so at Sandwich Commonwealth Place, the scoreboard's at the other end. So I'm squinting to try to find it. And as I'm squinting, I'm so happy that I won, because I knew that I won because I swam like this, and Brendan was just a little bit over there. So I'm like this. And God love Canadian press, who decided to take that photo and plaster it on the front page of every major newspaper in Canada the next day. Probably to show the Australian chef de mission that we had it right. But I was very humbled by the fact that I could show living with a disability in that light. Because it's not often that you would see somebody with a disability doing things good. You know, sometimes people have this idea that, oh, you have a disability, you can't do anything, which we know is not true. So to be able to be on national television and be able to show what I had and what I could do in the face of all the kind of the publicity that this was getting was a really, really neat thing for me. The Atlanta Paralympic Games was my second Paralympics, obviously. But it didn't go as well as I had hoped. I swam the 200 individual medley. Anybody know what the 200 IM is? The strokes, 50 butterfly, 50 backstroke, 50 breaststroke, 50 freestyle. And I swam a great time. I probably would, I can't remember exactly, but I would have been first or second going into finals. I say I would have been because I got disqualified for what the judge said was an illegal breaststroke touch. The kicker was the judge was from Edmonton. Like, I get disqualified by my own nationality judge. We appealed, and we lost. But I tried to use the 50 fly that I swam for my next race, which was a 100-meter butterfly, because now I had learned to swim butterfly, and I entered the race. And in the morning heats, I went 105.90. It was a decent time. Wasn't close to the world record, but I think it was good enough to get me a medal. And in finals that night, the wheels fell off. Kinda. Instead of building on my swim in the morning, I probably let the pressure get to me too much. I probably was, maybe got a big head that I was, swam so well, maybe I can go faster. I got caught up in where I was place-wise, and finished with a 106.90. It wasn't that much, it was a second off. I still medaled, I got a bronze, but the Russian went 106.88. So I was so close to the silver, and I had it in me to do it. And I felt that to me was a failure because I had not planned properly for this race. So what I want to do now is I want to bring up this idea of failure. Because sometimes I think we think failure is almost like a curse word. It's just like, oh, you failed? Oh my God, you're bad. But in reality, failure sometimes is not necessarily that way. So I'm going to give you another 5 minutes. And my idea was to, you're comfortable at your tables. I want you to get a little uncomfortable. And maybe a few of you, maybe 3 or 4, can switch tables. So we're going to have a little bit of Jenga going on here. But I don't want everybody to work with the same people they just work with. So pick who's moving from your table and go find a table that's close and say hello to your new neighbor. And then we'll move back. and then we'll start. Off you go. It's like musical chairs, right? Like, get it. Welcome to your new home. Pardon me? Oh, really?
I was at the Paralympics competition, not the swimming competition, but the racing competition. So
Yeah.
I was there one day.
I remember going to the village every time, and the cliffs on the side, they had the catacombs or whatever, and I went to the zoo and I saw the albino gorilla. Amazing. I loved it.
Died a few years ago.
Oh, it did?
I don't know how long ago, but he died with no albino children. But they're hoping that one of the genes will somehow spread.
Yeah.
And get an albino.
Are we good? Everybody set? I got your new homes, your new neighbors. Say hello. Say hello from Andrew. And let's go this. So, what's what I want to talk about? Discuss failing at something and what you learned from it. I think we can learn a lot from failures. I try to limit them the best I can, but I think we can learn from it. So think of something that you've learned, and is failing a good thing or a bad thing? So talk amongst your table, or talk, 3 on 3 or whatever. Again, I'm going to give you about 5 minutes. I'm going to walk around, and this is just the evolution of some things I want you to learn and just kind of get out. So off you go. Come on. Yeah. I don't know if I'll say this up there, but one of the sayings, I can't take credit for this, but it's a really good saying, is sometimes good things, marriage, it's good, I get married, I love that, but sometimes good things fall apart so better things can fall together. I might say it, but that kind of thing, and the second marriage is yeah, maybe you're better off because of it. I did this talk about a month ago for this group called Key Club. It's from the Kiwanis. And this woman's we're talking about failure, and she shared this story about how I feel like a failure. All my life I wanted to be like an ophthalmologist and work with eyes and stuff like that. And I job shadowed, and I didn't have 20/20 vision because I have something wrong with my eye, degenerative, whatever. So you'll never be able to do that. And she said for the next couple years I felt like a failure. I'm like, why? You didn't do anything wrong. But I think we have this idea that society says, oh, you didn't do that right, you're a failure. You screwed up, you're a failure. Well, no, I screwed up, and then I'm going to turn setbacks into comebacks, and that's the way it is. 45.
So 13 years older, so it was 13 years previous. He was 17, died at 18.
Yeah.
Yeah, but exact same thing.
Tough.
I know.
Same as Terry Fox. Like that was the same time.
And yeah, yeah.
When I was going through it, Terry Fox was like almost becoming a thing.
I know. And I think my twin brother died a couple years after him, before. Unfortunately, just a couple years later.
Yeah. No. I mean, when I was young, what do you know, right?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like he at 17 would know.
Yeah.
Like, that's scary. It's almost better younger than older, because when you're 17, you know. Nobody's BSing you that way. How is it? You're going to be okay. Come on.
Yeah.
I'm not stupid. Yeah. I should write a study. How we doing? Learn anything so far? A lot of this is brand new for me. Like I haven't asked the questions before. These presentations before have been more like words. I'm putting more slides, like more pictures. There's going to be some questions to use for your cell phone a little bit later, if it works. So you slide on. I've done this. Yeah, I have. But that joke that I made about the German who cares, that was a spur of the moment thing. I didn't practice that at all. I will use it again, but I didn't practice it at all. Yeah, it was because I'm thinking to myself as I'm going through it, I would like to have a board like that I can write down the times. Because when I'm practicing it, it's like every time I practice, I try to write it down in my mind. So then when I saw those things over there, I wanted to put it up there. So yeah, German, who cares? Yeah. All right, I think we gotta go. Okay. Here. Okay. How we doing now? So we're gonna stay where we are, and then we're going to move. We'll probably move again. I don't know. Maybe not. So I just wanted to share that, and just briefly on the idea of failure. Hi. That was fun. Just in the idea of failure, I think it's a good thing. Obviously, you can't keep fail. That's not a good thing. But if we can use it in certain situations, if we can teach our kids that it's okay to fail because you can be stronger. If we're in a job that, and I've been there, that you think everything that you might do that might be just a little bit wrong, somebody's looking at you going, what'd you do it like that for? So failure can be a good thing. Tony Robbins, I'm sure you probably heard of Tony Robbins. I was reading some of his stuff, and he says, when we're successful, we tend to cheer. We don't look back. We're like, I'm successful. This is great. I've accomplished my goals, I've accomplished my dreams. This is what I want. But when we fail, we tend to ponder. You put your head down and you think, why me? What happened? And then you think, well, how can I get better? How can I go stronger? How can I evolve? Change is inevitable, but growth is optional. So if we're growing, if we're learning, then that's where the winning's going to come. And now we're going to go to this. This whole idea that pressure is just this evil in the room. So, how many people know how to drive a car? How many people know how to drive a car well? I don't know, so maybe some hands go down, I don't know. And what about, how many people know how to parallel park? Off. And what would you think I get people, I'm getting the sense like, I got this, Andrew. If you want to see someone go for gold, watch me parallel park. I know that person's out here. That's your gold medal right there. So what happens if you're parallel parking and there's somebody behind you, lights, or they're not saying anything, but you can see in your rearview mirror that they're just nervous. They want to get around you so bad. And that forces you to feel more pressure. Because do you back in a certain way, or do you just leave? You know, some people might just leave. What? Yeah, I'll be with you in a second, honey, and then just park. Then you really get mad. So there's ideas that conspire against us, and dealing with pressure is, of course, not easy. So let's do this. Did this person, you obviously in the field, did this person get the job? We're looking for someone who is responsible. Then I'm definitely the right person for the job. In my last job, whenever anything went wrong, they said I was responsible. Now, we've heard Chip and Don talk about responsible earlier. But did this person get the job? Probably not. Does this person deal with pressure well? Probably not. And it's a cute little thing that I found, and it just underscores that, positive mindset, but not exactly getting the job done. So here's the bottom line. Pressure is the enemy of success. It undermines performance and helps us fail. We live in a high-pressure time where every day, more than ever before, working folks like us feel the heat. We have to produce to perform. We have to produce, perform, get results, or else. It's stressful at times when you're trying to, work on results, work on quotas, work on deadlines, and it can get to be a lot. That's the way it is sometimes. That's why, a lot of things that were worth accomplishing will have to go through pressure, because sometimes we procrastinate and let them go to the last minute. But there's three things in terms of three truths really that comes with, with pressure. And the first truth is that, again, it's going to undermine you. It's going to cause you to fail. It's going to hurt your relationships. It's going to, affect cognitive abilities, that kind of thing. The second truth is that the people who are successful dealing with high-pressure situations are no different than the people who deal with low-pressure situations. So there's really no DNA, I guess, for people who deal with high-pressure situations. They're just able to negate the negative consequences of the high pressure. They're able to deal with it better, come with a plan, the routine. They have mechanisms, and that's the third one. There's tools in place, what I'm going to discuss, that'll help you deal with pressure. It's just a matter of growing and evolving and learning them and kind of making them your own. So, pressure in the skies, I call it. Who remembers 10 years ago, some people don't remember yesterday, but 10 years ago, there was a plane that took off from New York. And it was on its way to Charlotte, United Airlines. Miracle on the Hudson. And the pilot of the plane was asked about that situation. And he said, I immediately took over the flying from my co-pilot and made a series of command decisions. I knew that for 42 years, I'd been making a small, regular deposits in the bank of experience, education, and training. And on January 15th, the balance was sufficient, so I knew I could make a very large withdrawal. Captain Chesley Sullenberger, or I guess they call him Sully. So when I read this, I thought that's very interesting, because the idea to use our experience, to use what we've done in our life to help us deal with situations. The other thing is, he took this situation in the air as a challenge. Maybe not everybody would have. Maybe some people would have freaked out. And that's why he took control from his co-pilot, because he's the boss. He's in charge. And when faced with an insurmountable, seemingly situation, he landed that plane on that water like he'd practiced it in the simulator 1,000 times. And that was pretty neat. So, How do you deal with pressure? So we're going to try something a little bit new for me. And I'm going to get out my cell phone. Who's got a cell phone? Show me your cell phones. Let's see if we can let's see if we can make this work. I'm going to ask you a question. And I want you to go to, let's try this. There we go. I want you to go to slido.com, and I want you to put in the code 0503 for May 3rd. And when you do that, I then want you to answer the question. Pretty simple. How do you deal with high-pressure situations? My first response is not great. I find them threatening. I dread the moment. Or I just try to embrace it. Stay positive. Oh, we already have one in for that one. Good. Be honest. Somebody change their mind? Let me know when everybody's done. Okay, no problem. I'll give you time. Do you get it? You good? Yeah. Okay. You gotta pick one. I guess the third question should have been, sometimes I'm one, sometimes I'm the other, but we'll leave it at that. No fence sitters. People still trying to log in? Are we pretty much good? Anybody still trying to log in? Okay, so you guys did really well, because statistics would say that most people should probably be in the dread the moment. But I think that because I'm hoping that we're getting to the point of my goal. That your mindset is to the point where you feel maybe a little bit of a change coming on, that you want to be positive. Let's keep things positive, and you're going to view things as a challenge from now on, because life is all about challenge. But let's not take the time to dwell on something. Let's take the time to learn and move on, and if you don't do it the way you think you should do it, learn from it and evolve. So thanks for that. I just we'll do another one in a little bit, but I wanted to try that one out. So let's go there. Oop, sorry, I got to take this off. No. Okay, 98 World Championships. I had mentioned that obviously that I wanted to be world champion one day. It didn't happen in '94. World championships were every 4 years. And I won 3 bronze medals. There was more than 3 in the race at Worlds, of course. Let's get that clear. So going into world championships in Christchurch, New Zealand, I swam the 200 individual medley. I was ranked 2nd in the world in the 200 IM. And I qualified first going to finals after setting a world record in the morning. At finals that night, I broke my world record and finished 2nd. So how'd that happen? Because the person who won broke my world record and went faster than me, and he took the gold medal and I took the silver. But for me, that's still winning, to keep on that path. It's still winning because I set a best time. I went as fast as I possibly could go. And if silver was what I got, silver was what I got. But the other thing I got was confidence. Confidence going into my 100-meter butterfly, which I was ranked #1 in the world. Behind the blocks, ready to go for the finals. I knew that if I was leading at the 50, nobody in the pool was going to catch me. But leading into this race, trying to get rid of the nerves, trying to get rid of the pressure, I had keywords. Keep your stroke long. Kick off to turn. Stay in the moment. Live the zone around you. So these types of things helped me when I got in the pool because I brought a level of familiarity to this race from my experience. When I finally touched the wall at the end of the race, I saw Andrew Haley, lane 4, number 1, and I'd won the race. And that was the culmination of all those things that I'd put in to get there. And you hear some people sometimes talk about sacrifice. Oh, you sacrificed so much in your career. I didn't sacrifice anything. Because one of the things I'm going to tell you when you're going for gold and going for your dreams and going for your goals is that what I did is I invested my time to be better, to be the best I possibly can be. Invested my effort to deal with the pressure that was around me. So, some of the things you help do that's pressure. Focus on the task, not the outcome. I mentioned that I was focusing on how many strokes I'm going to take, what my first split was going to be. I kind of had an idea of how fast I was going to go based on many factors. I didn't worry about the outcome. If you're successful, if you have the excellence, through the process of excellence, you're going to get the outcome that hopefully you deserve. Write down your thoughts and worries before the end and deal with it. And share your pressure. I'll put those together. How many people have ever been in a business meeting? Show of hands. How many people have been in a business meeting that you got a little nervous for? How many people have ever been in this business meeting that you got nervous for and has ever talked to somebody about why you're nervous prior to going to that meeting? I firmly believe that if you're in a meeting or if you're going to go to a meeting and you get nervous about something, maybe there's somebody that you work with that you can say, I'm going to go in this meeting, but here's some of the things I'm hung up on. Here's some of the things I wish I could do better. Can you help me with it? What do you think? What's your experience tell you? And then you hash it out, you talk it out, and then you're a little bit better. And I did that for swimming. If I was nervous about something, didn't think something was going to go the right way, I talked to my coaches about it. Or fellow athletes if they had experience. And rely on experience. Like Sully, I relied on the fact that I'd done races before. And I also thought to myself that these other athletes that are in the pool with me, they've got to be nervous too. I'm not the only one nervous. So it's who deals with the nerves better usually comes out to be successful. Positive mindset. As I mentioned, the topic of my presentation this morning is about mindset and going for excellence. If you don't have a positive mindset, nothing matters. Nothing else matters. Because what's going to happen is you're going to try to pick up the phone to make this call to a client or somebody, and something inside of you is going to say a reason why it shouldn't happen. Not yet, not yet. Listen to the music, routine. As I mentioned, go in, Rocky IV, getting in the moment, getting in the zone, pick your own music, pick your own time, pick your own space, and get there. Visit where you have to present if you can and visualize. I came in last night so I could see the room. And after I was in, I came on stage, and I went back to my room last night upstairs, and I closed my eyes, and I visualized everybody in the room. I went to the Paralympics, obviously in 2000, but 1999, I went to Sydney on my own expense, so I could swim in the Olympic pool and get experience. I went to World Championships in 2002 in Mar del Plata, Argentina. I went in 2001 to experience it. Now, it doesn't always happen, but I was lucky enough sometimes that it did. And I think that helps. If only going to the room that you're going to present, if it's in a room somewhere else, where you're wearing jeans and a t-shirt and a sweater, and seeing, oh, that's where it's going to happen. So, or that's the parking lot. Slow down the process. Control arousal. How many times have you done something that you're so excited? But sometimes it's too much. So one of the things I put on my website is the process for breathing. You know, breathing where you look at a situation and you close your eyes and you go 1, 2, 3, 4, and you breathe in. And you hold it for 4 seconds at the top. And then maybe you breathe out 5, 6. But when you're breathing out, you're letting all the stress go. And if you get okay at it, it actually works. You know, it's not just something I'm saying. It actually works. Like 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I'm thinking about all positive thoughts, and then you let it go. And then gradually your arousal level is to the point where you're ready to perform. And also, how many times have you taken a test in university and you see the test and you're like, oh my God, I know nothing. I don't know anything. I think we've all done that. So the idea would be just sit down. You might probably already sitting down. Relax. Say, I got this. Look at it again. And then slowly the answers probably, if you've studied enough, will probably start coming back to you. And that seems to work. And the last one, oh, not there, you can see it, doesn't matter, is that is discipline. Sports, theater, the arts, music, all these organizations, bodies of people have one thing in common. They have a high degree of discipline. Think about a bunch of grade 1s who have a substitute teacher. It's hard enough or grade primary. It's hard enough keeping them engaged at the best of times. But if they think they can take advantage of their substitute, then it's going to be a lot worse, unless they're disciplined to do the work, and it doesn't matter who comes through the door. Think about those people that when the boss is away, they take 2-hour lunches. If you know any of those people. I do, unfortunately. They're not disciplined as well. Navy SEALs. If they're highly trained. They probably do a lot of things that we can't even fathom. But if they didn't have the proper training, they're probably going to be hurt or killed in action. So those types of things will help you deal with pressure. And now that you kind of saw, I'm going to show you my little friend here. Everybody loves koalas. I love Sydney, Australia. I love Australia. I'm going to say that right now. I've been there a few times. I would go down there every year if I could. And when we swam at the Paralympics, this was the last race before the end of the program. I'm going to talk about the 4x100 medley relay. It was a different bunch of disabled athletes. Now, you may not understand the classification system, which is what we use. So I'm an S9 because of my artificial leg is above the knee. And then if an S10 would be somebody who has an amputation below the knee. And somebody who has maybe cerebral palsy would be an S7, and it gets kind of confusing. So just think about it this way. It has to equal 10. A grade 4, a grade 3, a grade 2, a grade 1 equals 10. You could have 2 grade 4s and 2 grade 1s. You could have 3 grade 3s and 1 grade 1. Any combination that equals 10 is what we had. So I'm going to show you our relay. I'm going to show you from the breaststroke. I cut it down a little bit for time. But you're going to see what we did in this race. So let's take a quick peek. Turn the volume down. Okay. So this is the breaststroke part. We were in fifth. We were in 7th after the 100 meters. And we were in 5th. So we are right there. And this is coming up to the 200-meter mark. His disability is pretty much like mine. You're going to see a really good athlete jump in the pool right here. That guy there is pretty good. The guy I'm swimming next to, Giles Long, is an S8. He's got one arm swimming butterfly. This guy, his name is Cameron DeBurr from Australia. But this is where experience comes in. He swims an amazing 80-meter butterfly. The last 20 meters, not so good. And there I am. So now I've since brought our team into 2nd place. So we're in second. I told our freestyler, Benoit, who is right there, he was only at that time 16. And I said, if we're close, you're not breathing the whole race. So he would be classified, let's say in this scenario, of grade 4. Alex Harris from Australia would be more like a grade 2-ish. So at that point, it was pretty easy to catch him. Now we're leading, 4:03.84. I didn't mention the Australian announcers. The reason I cut the volume down because you can barely understand him, but he said that he figured Australia was going to win this race for sure, but in fact they finished 3rd. There's the world record, 4:38.24. Ben's coming underneath the flags, touching the wall, 4:32, the world record. We tied Spain for most gold medals in the pool, and then our girls team won the next race, and that's the medal. I'm going to. Thanks. It's like my photo that I had earlier. It's like, but I'm going to have this, and you're welcome to come take photos if you like. So that was a really good race, and the reason I bring this up is because of teamwork. Nothing that we can accomplish in life comes without having a team. You know, everybody working together. So team for me is together everyone achieves more. And that's a really important facet of performance, that you can't do it alone. So the whole idea about going for gold, giving your best self each and every day, you've got your home team, people at home that you love and love you and want to see you do well. And you have people at work who equally want to have an interest in you doing well. So I'm going to, just for the sake of time, I'm not going to break it out, but I'm just going to talk about this. What inspires you? Think of something or someone that inspired you to perform at your best. Something at work, at home, maybe someone else. Share the story of inspiration briefly with others. So we're not going to do that, but what I want to do, what I think is a decent idea, is that if everybody here wrote a story, a one-page story of something that inspires them, and then you put all those stories together that you can access somehow. Imagine if you're having a bad day and you go to the book of inspiration from the Gold for Gold Day and you read about somebody that you may or may not know in another Agilec office somewhere, but what inspires them. How much of a lift that would be. And I just thought about that as I was doing it. So I'm going to, one more. So I do want to do this one because I think I had some fun. So we're going to go back to our phones. Okay. Think of something that you've learned today and write down 1 or 2 words to describe it. So now that everybody's a pro at this, and this will populate a whole wall, and then maybe you can take a photo of the wall and then you can tweet it. We'll do that stuff. Wow, we're doing well. Pressure, pain. Determination, success, growth. What a cool list that is so far that we got going on there. I might just have to take my own photo of it. And as we have that list, I'm going to leave that up there while I kind of close it out. And the last thing I want to mention is that it's this idea. I'm not going to go to the last slide, but the last slide, if you were to read it, because I want to leave this up here to close out, is that it says, I am amazing. And the reason that it says that is because I know that you're going to read my slides. Because I firmly believe everybody, as I said at the start, can be amazing. Can be amazing in their own life. Have stories that you tell. I'm sure I could sit down with each and every one of you, and you would tell me something great that you've done. Or I'm sure that I could bring something great out of you. My wife is from Brazil. I met her at Parapan Games in 2007. I took her to Canada. She went to law school in 2011 in Windsor. At the same time, I'm in Toronto. She's going to law school in a language that wasn't her first language, because it's Portuguese, in a law degree that wasn't her first love, because she did a civil law in Brazil. And at the same time, our daughter Kristen was not even a year old, the trials and tribulations of having an infant at home while you're going to law school. And she did all that, and she persevered, and she got through it. Ordinary people doing extraordinary things each and every day. So to leave you with this, you don't have to conquer the world. You just have to conquer your world. And if you can do that with the grit and determination and the perseverance, the passion and the power, how hard is it to go for gold? Thanks a lot.